Yes, well, Deputy Director of Bureau of Health is known as the Director of the Department. So we're a bureau under a department. Director of Health.
Planning and zoning is its own bureau now too.
I am happy about it. That I know. Yep. Let's just do this. Let's just say consent to everything.
Good evening, everyone. It is 6:00 p.m. So at this time, welcome to our public comment session for May 18th, 2022. This is for non-agenda items only. And as of now, we have one person signed up, Mr. Dennis Kunkel. Yes, come on up.
One of the things we hear on HARB all the time is we didn't know we were in the historic district. And I was going to ask you tonight, why isn't that part of a seller disclosure at settlement? Well, today, I answered my question. Introduce yourself. Dennis Kunkel, 442 West Philadelphia Street, co-chair of HARB. So this is the page of the seller's disclosure that touches on the historic district. So I answered my own question. One other quick thing. The other thing we hear a lot on HARB is the uniform UCC, custom code. You don't need a permit for windows, doors, siding, and roofs, except for 3.24. So that's all I have to say.
Okay. Thank you. Is there any other public comment for non-agenda items only? You can come on up. Just please state your name for us.
I'm Craig Zumbrun. I chair the Historic Architectural Review Board for the city, and I'd like to appeal to council to take action to restore the presence of a architectural and historical consultant to the city. They've been very useful for us on the board when we're looking at proposals to make modifications in the city's historic district. Absent that historical review and absent the specific architectural comments, we're limited to our own memory and knowledge of the city and the ordinances that are affected, as well as the U.S. Department of the Interior Secretary's standards for making changes in a historic district. We've been without that support now for well over a year. The city's planning director was trying to fill the gap. However, he did so without any real research into any property that came before the board. Prior to that, we've had the benefit of the Johnson Merriman Thompson JMT Engineers historical consultant. Prior to that, we had Historic York's involvement, and that stretches back, in my knowledge, at least 26 years, probably a little longer than that. So I hope that you understand that the job of trying to be on the board is a difficult one because we're trying to look out for the city's future and at the same time safeguard the heritage and the architectural bones that make the city what it is and what has attracted investors as well as homeowners to be in the city. And we need your help to get that ball rolling. Thank you. I'm not sure who to
I can take it.
this.
Thank you.
Madam President, are we able to ask questions of the
Any other public comment for non-agenda items only? Hearing none, we will adjourn our public comment session and move on to our legislative session for May 18, 2022. At this time, I would like to call our meeting to order. Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Buckingham,
Here.
Rivera,
Here.
Washington,
Here.
Walker.
Here. And if you are able to, please stand for a pledge of allegiance followed by a moment of silence.
I
Thank you. You may be seated. Also, during our moment of silence, I just wanted to take a moment to recognize the 10 men and women that were murdered in the mass shooting in Buffalo, keeping their families in our thoughts and prayers here in York City. At this time, we will take action on previous meeting minutes from May 3rd, 2022. Council, are there any changes that need to be made to those minutes?
None.
Hearing none, all in favor of approving as presented, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Those minutes are approved. There are no proclamations, awards, or announcements. Our next committee meeting will be held for Wednesday, May 25th, 2022 at 6 o'clock p.m. in council chambers. Agenda items were due today by noon. Our next legislative meeting will be held on Tuesday, June 7th, 2022 at 6 o'clock p.m. in council's chambers. Agenda items are due by 12 noon on June 1st. No reports from prior committee referrals. So now we will move on to our legislative agenda, beginning with order of business for subdivision land development and HARB. Up first, we have a resolution in regards to preliminary and final subdivision and land development.
So introduced.
Resolution number 58, introduced by Queen of Washington. All right. The resolution, whereas New Tech Group, on behalf of EnviRight of Pennsylvania, submitted a preliminary final subdivision plan and preliminary final land development plan for the drum building expansion at 730 Rollstone Road, hereinafter referred to as plans. And whereas the city's officers have reviewed and recommended approval of the plan, and whereas the plan is in accordance with the city's ordinances, and whereas the Planning Commission recommended approval of the plan with various waivers, now therefore be it resolved that the action of the Planning Commission in recommending approval of said plans for an expansion of the drum building is hereby approved.
Move to approve.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded. Any questions or comments from council?
None.
Any questions or comments from the public? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Buckingham,
Yes.
Rivera,
Yes.
Washington,
Yes.
Walker.
Yes,
Let's see.
that is so ordered. Moving on to a resolution accepting the recommendations of HARB.
So introduced.
Resolution number 59, introduced by Lou Rivera. Be it resolved that council hereby approves certificates of appropriateness for the applications filed for work to be done at 316 East Locust Street, 237 West Market Street, and 244 through 256 North George Street.
Move to approve.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded. Any questions or comments from council?
Yes. So, Craig, can you step up to the microphone, or Dennis? I do have some questions. And the first question is the position that you had mentioned. Can you get a little more into that?
Well, the city has had the benefit of a professional reviewer of applications submitted to the city for improvement or for demolition. And in the case of Johnson Miriam Thompson, it was a person who they had hired who was a historical preservationist and architect. They did a historical review of the property using whatever records were available. Then they wrote a comment piece that explained how the application met or did not meet the Secretary's standards and made a recommendation to the board for action. It left the board with a little more background and information from which to discuss and ask questions and ultimately make a recommendation to council. Prior to that, as I said, there was a person who was an employee of Historic York, and that person similarly had a background in historic preservation with an emphasis on architecture.
Does this sound familiar, Mayor?
Yeah, to my knowledge, so this is through Department of Community and Economic and Community Development, and it's my understanding that there has been a conversation currently ongoing. The former contractor did not want to renew the contract, is my understanding, and so we are currently looking at another contractor.
Okay. My other question is, how many board members do you have?
We currently have 5 board members. We have been without a requisite number of board members for over a year. We lost some board members when there was a controversial decision going against the board's recommendation to council. We have a very difficult time finding qualified and interested and committed people. The board is supposed to be comprised of someone with a planning background, someone with a codes background, someone with a construction background, someone who has real estate, architecture, and then people who have general interest in history. And we currently have an architect. We have someone with detailed knowledge of buildings and building products, a former planner, a history teacher, a real estate person.
Okay. Those are the only questions I have. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments from council? Questions or comments from the public? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Buckingham,
Yes.
Rivera.
Yes.
Washington,
Yes.
Walker.
Yes. That is so ordered. Moving on to our next resolution, accepting the recommendation of HARB.
So introduced.
And this is resolution number 60, introduced by Lou Rivera. Be it resolved, and it is hereby resolved by the authority of the same as follows. Council hereby denies their certificate of appropriateness for work to be done in the applications as recommended by HARB for work to be done at 319 through 335 North George Street.
Move to approve.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded. Any questions or comments from council?
No.
Questions or comments from the public?
Good evening, thank you.
Good evening.
My name's Kim Hogeman. I'm here on behalf of the York County Industrial Development Authority on behalf of this project. And you did receive some information electronically that was presented to HARB, a PowerPoint with some information on the project and some renderings. And we would like to respectfully request permission for demolition, going against the HARB recommendation. So we are here to talk about that. This does go back to the stadium project, the York plan, the York Outdoor Recreational Complex. So this is an extension of that original project, which would remove the properties at 319 through 335 North George Street. They are, at this time, severely blighted. They are now owned by the YCIDA. At the time when the stadium was constructed, they were occupied. So it was something that was determined to be done later. We do have some renderings and a structural report in your packet. What we would like to do is request demolition of the 9 properties, which would be a public RFP process, and then go out for RFP for a creative redevelopment, which would be something like the renderings. We do have 2 RACP awards already for $4 million that would go towards that reconstruction. Anything?
Thank you, Kim. I'm here in the capacity as Chair of the Industrial Development Authority. My name is Jack Kay. And I just wanted to give a little bit of context to this request. As Kim pointed out, when the stadium project was envisioned and we went through a redevelopment process of declaring that area a redevelopment zone, these particular properties were included and it was approved as part of the overall development of that entire site. As we got into the development of the stadium, it became clear that we wouldn't have the funding at that time to be able to complete this piece of the project. It was always viewed as a very important and strategic piece. It really is the front apron or the front of the stadium, and right now the sight lines from George Street into the stadium are hampered because of the presence of these properties. But that's really not the reason that we're interested in requesting your approval of demolition. We see this as an opportunity to really create a very attractive, very meaningful gateway coming into the city as you're coming in from the north. Since the development of the stadium, one of the goals and objectives that we had hoped for has in fact been established. There's been a tremendous amount of private sector development, the Codo apartment project, the development of a new high school, other retail and commercial development planned on the west side of George Street, the redevelopment of the former rail freight building, and here we have a row of properties of what I would say not particularly impactful architectural significance. 1 or 2 of the properties may be fairly old, but that doesn't really make them significant architecturally contributing to that area. We really believe that with the proposed development that we envision as being a mixed-use commercial development that would extend retail, other commercial uses to that part of downtown, really creates a very, very positive first impression as you're coming in. And we think it's an opportunity for this whole sector to continue to improve adjacent to the Northwest Triangle, where we'll be seeing additional new development hopefully coming fairly soon. We think that this is the right thing to do. We respect and are very appreciative of the historic fabric of buildings and residences in the city. These are not particularly unique. You could find blocks in the city that have very similar properties in many locations. And I think if the facades of these were more significant, if they were more significant structures, we might have a different perspective on it. But this is an opportunity to create better sight lines into the stadium, to develop an additional major commercial use, and really enhance impressions as people come into the city, and really continue the development of the George Street corridor. So we appreciate HARB's input. I thought we had a very meaningful discussion with HARB at the meeting. We fully get their perspective on this and understand where they're coming from. And I understand that they are looking to do their job, and they did. At the same time, we're advocating for the position that we think, all things considered, is a better outcome and something that would be very positive for the city. So thank you for your consideration, and we appreciate that you're willing to take a look at this.
Good to see you, Jack, and Kim, you're doing a great job.
Oh, thank you.
But I think this has to be said. If this is approved, that you are engaging the Black and brown communities in the development and the hiring. And Kim, you and I, and Jack, you and I have had this conversation. It's extremely important with the city being, 66% of Black and brown folks, to ensure that they get contracts, they get employment. They're part of the process. And Kim, one of the things that you and I had spoken about when the Yorktown Hotel opened was that we were going to have a Latino gala as part of the grand opening, besides your wedding. So I'm going to hold you to that. So again, and that's extremely important to me.
Yeah, and Councilman, let me just say that one of the, I think, really important objectives and philosophies of the Industrial Development Authority, and this is shared by our entire board, is to really reflect on these kinds of comments and be respectful of the entire community in York. So as an example, we are working really hard to make sure that the Yorktown Hotel is everybody's hotel. You're going to see that reflected in opening events where we really want to try to reach out to all sectors of the community. Everyone should feel welcome. Everyone should feel that they can play a role and be a participant in that. And this will carry over to this project as well. We are really trying to recognize that this is a responsibility of our board, and we're really going to great lengths in terms of seeking employees to work at the Yorktown Hotel, the job fairs we're working with, partnering with Crispus Attucks, we're partnering with York College to try to affect the most positive outcome possible. One of our hopes is that just as it was the case when demolition was taking place, and you could observe individuals with their hard hats and vests walking down to the site, down Queen Street and York and Duke Street, because we really encouraged that contractor to hire as many community people as he could to work on that project. Those were temporary jobs during that demolition, but we hope to do the same thing when permanent positions become available at the hotel. Nothing would please us more than to have people be able to walk to work and have a meaningful career, not just a job, but a career opportunity at the hotel. Thank you.
Any other public comment?
Yes, Madam President, I'd like to comment on this. And I want to comment from the perspective of being on both sides of this, because I started off on the side of Harb, but I must say that I've come down on the side of moving forward with the project. You may recall that not too long ago, and not too many yards away, I actively lobbied to maintain the facade structures just the next block towards the square, some very significant contributing structures. And then when I learned of this project, at first I was opposed to it because purely of the age and continuity of the buildings there. They are well over 100 years old. However, once I learned of the history of this project and the fact that this has already been litigated and legislated, this was already part of an agreement from council and from the mayor's office 20 years ago, I'm going to say, about 20 years ago. So I really do feel that it is unfair to approve have the government itself, even though it wasn't any of us, I feel that it's unfair for the government of the city of York to approve something, and then when somebody comes to follow through with what has been approved, that then the government of the city of York would say, no, wait a minute, we now no longer honor our commitment to you. So that's where I'm at. I don't think, as a person who has thoroughly reviewed the architecture of the city of York, particularly in the downtown, in the bid district, I feel that the gain is more than the loss. And I feel like a new structure for a gateway to the city of York, combined with the elements of the Keystone Kids Space, with the new high school, with the was the warehouse building, the old Somerville building, I think that is going to be hugely contributing. And then economically, one of the things that we have been trying to do is find a way to connect the stadium customers, the folks that come into our town, with the rest of the shopping district of the city of York, the restaurant district of the city of York. So the more that we build on North George Street, on the 100, 200, and 300 block of North George Street, the more we connect that and the more we develop that income and visitation that the city really needs.
Any other public comment? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
All right, just a reminder for council, if you vote yes, for a reminder for council, if you vote yes, that means that you are denying the certificate. If you vote no to this resolution, that means that, that you're allowing the certificate. All right. Buckingham,
No.
Rivera,
No.
Washington,
No.
Walker,
No. That is so ordered. Moving on to final passage of bills and resolutions. Up first, we have final passage of Bill number 30.
Move to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
It has been moved and seconded. Any questions or comments from council?
I have none.
Any questions or comments from the public? Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
and that is that's a bill amending the 2022 budget by appropriating revenue and expenditures for a JAG grant from October 1st, 2020 through September 30th, 2024 in the amount of $50,532. Buckingham,
Yes.
Rivera,
Yes.
Washington,
Yes.
Walker,
Yes, that is so ordered. Moving on to final passage of Bill number 31.
and that was introduced by,
Move to approve.
okay, and that was Bill number 31, introduced by Betsy Buckingham, an ordinance adopting rules and regulations pertaining to the wastewater collection, conveyance, treatment, and disposal service, providing for implementation and enforcement of same, rescinding inconsistent ordinances and resolutions, and stating the effective date. There's been a motion of Buckingham. Is there a second?
Any questions or comments from council? Any questions or comments from the public? Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Buckingham,
Yes.
Rivera,
Yes.
Washington,
Yes.
Walker,
Yes. That is so ordered. Moving on to final passage of Bill number 32.
Move to approve.
and that is Bill number 32, which was introduced by Lou Rivera at the May 3rd meeting of council, amending Article 16507 residency to expand residency area to York County or any contiguous county.
Is there a second?
Second.
It has been moved and seconded. Any questions or comments from council? Any questions or comments from the public? Come on up.
Hi, everybody.
Hi.
I just want to say that,
Just state your name
oh,
for us.
I'm sorry.
Just
I'm
state-
Chanel Barnes,
Thank you.
resident of the city of York. Do you need to know where I live?
No.
I just wanted to say that this is really important to a lot of us who work here and have been working here for many years. With COVID and losing a lot of family members and people not being able to get to family members, the decision to, I love my job, I want to keep my job, but I want to move closer to the people I love, should be a choice. I don't know how else more to say that more than, getting good people to work and keeping good people that have been here for many years. So I'm just hoping that everybody will understand that, not that we don't love the city, but that we just want to be closer to people that we love. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for all the work that you do and the late hours. Any other public comment? Okay.
Let's go. Let's get it
All
done
right.
right now. Okay.
Hearing none. Madam,
All right. Buckingham,
Yes.
Rivera,
Yes.
Washington,
No.
Walker.
Yes.
It passed, y'all.
And that is so ordered. Given that it's been a lot of discussion, thank you to our wonderful clerk for, she put together a history of residency, and that was very helpful for a lot of us, going all the way back to 1962.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of information that we didn't know about. Now, at the same time, this is a serious, very serious decision, a big decision, a monumental decision. But we all need to make sure that we enforce accountability. So with that, I definitely would like to see some type of update or quarterly report in regards to the makeup of residents, employees, et cetera, and accountability overall. So we have to make sure that we're doing our part and we're operating in integrity. So moving on.
Thank you.
Historic.
Moving on to our next final passage of bill number 33.
Move to approve.
And that was bill number 33, introduced by the Queen of Washington at the May 3rd meeting, amending Article 185, Human Relations, to include the definition of hairstyles and prohibit race-based discrimination based on hair texture and protective hairstyles.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded. Any questions or comments from council?
I do have some comments. I do have a comment from Chairwoman Seaton of the Human Relations Commission. She just wanted to add, and I know there's some Human Relations Commissioners here, she just wanted to add her thanks on behalf of the Commission, gratefulness for us as council working together on this initiative, and to ensure that, race-based hair discrimination hopefully comes to an end here in the city of York, and that there are parameters set in the city of York to protect those classes of individuals that would experience race-based hair discrimination, and it would assist those individuals in regards to employment, housing, as well as education. So thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments from the public?
Hello, I'm Mina Edmondson, and I am a resident of the City of York, and I am a commissioner of the City of York Human Relations Commission, and we are very pleased to be able to support this addition to Article 185 for the Human Relations Commission, and to be able to support going forward the further protection of our communities of color. So thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment?
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm Sandra Thompson. I have a business at 351 East Princess Street in the city. I'm an attorney, plus involved with NAACP of York. Jamil Alexander is the president. We did write an op-ed in support of or actually gave a statement if it was an op-ed, I don't recall, in support of the Crown Act. That is a national and statewide initiative, so I'm glad to see that York City Council is considering it and hopefully passing it. I think that also this should go to the county level as well. As you see, I have my hair in a natural state, and being an attorney, I've been an attorney since '99, and predominantly in York County. And it took years to get here, to walk in that courtroom, in that courthouse with a natural hair. And it's not just myself, but other black female attorneys too. And, to see each other being empowered to wear our hair this way in the courthouse was empowering. And not only to ourselves, but to the people around us in the courthouse. We still sometimes get comments about, hey, what's going on with your hair, but with us now being empowered, and we can now empower younger generations, is what's needed. And so that way, when our children are in these schools, these teachers can't say what's going on with your hair. The judges can't say that. The employers can't say that. We can find that, yes, this also is professional. So again, I hope all of you are passing and will vote to pass this measure.
I have just an additional comment, brought up something very interesting that I think HRC or the city should look into, and that is these county facilities are within the boundaries of the city of York. So the courthouse falls under this. The attorneys that are here in the city of York, they all fall under this act. So they are not separate and above. They are existing businesses, whether it's government, nonprofit, or for-profit. If they're in the city of York, they fall under this rule.
Any other public comment? Well, thank you for all of your work, Councilwoman Washington and HRC members and NAACP, anybody who contributed to this. Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
I think, just to clarify, Sandra, I believe you were saying with the county adopting it, I know that they fall within the city, they're seated in the city, but you were saying so that if they adopt it, that it's county-wide, not just the city.
I was recommending the county follow your footsteps and follow the footsteps of the state and national.
Got you.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, my comment was separate from that. I'm in agreement, but my comment was
All
separate.
right, Buckingham,
Yes.
Rivera,
Yes.
Washington.
Yes.
Walker.
Yes, that is so ordered. And that leaves a round of applause. Absolutely. I know, that's back to back. All right, moving on to new business. Introduction of a bill amending the 2022 budget.
So introduced.
That's bill number 34, introduced by Aquina Washington. And that is a bill number 34, whereas the Bureau of Health is requesting an amendment to the budget for 2022 by appropriating revenue and expenditures for the HIV prevention program for both the state and federal funding.
And that will sit until our next legislative meeting. Moving on to introduction of bill number 35.
So introduced.
Bill number 35, introduced by Aquina Washington, and that is a bill amending the 2022 budget for the Health Department by appropriating revenue and expenditures for the Healthy Moms, Healthy Babies Home Visiting Program grant renewal in the amount of $275,000.
Again, that will sit until our next legislative meeting. Next, we have another bill amending the 2022 budget.
So introduced.
That's bill number 36, introduced by Aquina Washington, approving a transfer of funds in the 2022 budget for the Bureau of Health to comply with an improved budget shift for the Healthy Moms, Healthy Babies Home Visiting Program grant by transferring a total of $21,021.56.
Again, that will sit until our next legislative meeting. And another bill amending the 2022 budget.
So introduced.
Bill number 36, introduced by Aquina Washington, an ordinance approving the transfer of funds in the 2022 budget for the Bureau of Health to comply with an approved budget shift for the Healthy Moms, Healthy Babies Home Visiting Program. Did I read the same one over again? Am I?
Yes.
Healthy Moms.
Oh, okay, 36.
Substance abuse prevention.
Oh, we're on 37, sorry about that, folks. All right, 37, approving the transfer of funds for the Health Bureau to comply with the approved budget revision of the Substance Abuse Prevention Program Prescription Drug Monitoring Program by transferring a total of $51,435.44.
And that will sit until our next legislative meeting. Moving on to items for consideration of consent agenda.
Madam President, agenda item number 12 has been requested to be pulled from the agenda.
Okay.
Okay. And we also have a supplemental agenda, and if the chair would allow, I would ask for a motion to waive Rule 215 to allow introduction of this legislation as part of the consent agenda.
Is there a motion?
I make a motion to waive Rule 215.
It was seconded. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that will be included. And then a motion to proceed with the consent agenda. All right, is there a motion to proceed with the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
All right, it's moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, at this time, council, you can review the resolutions that are part of the consent agenda, and please share with us if there are any items that you would like to pull for discussion. Any items? All right. Hearing none, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
It has been moved and seconded. Any questions or comments from council for anything?
Yeah,
Any of those items?
Yeah, I do. Just a quick question. Mayor, the authorizing a lease agreement with Pennsylvania American Water, I just asked Jason, so they're moving into the building?
This is for this one, or is this for the garage down at Torrey? Yes, yes, that is their plan to take, I believe, do we have it, the specific spaces narrowed down?
Yeah.
Okay, so the southernmost spaces in the bank space over here.
Paying rent?
Yes.
I think it's $1,500 a month. It's in the packet. And it's not the whole, it's the 2 rooms.
Yes, yeah, it would be essentially the southwest kind of corner of the space over there.
Thank you. Councilwoman.
Any questions or comments from the? Just, okay, so for the agreements for the Transportation Resource Group and CS Davison, I saw that on the contract, it goes back to January 1st. Have they already started work?
I'm assuming right now, is this North George Street?
These are essentially this is work that has been in place. Both of these are essentially for throughout the year consultant work for basic public works projects, and they've actually been working with these 2 groups for multiple years. But with us getting our financial processes in order, the Controller's Office has requested that a formal agreement be signed and on file to justify the expenses. So this is kind of following up back to January 1st of this year to put it down on paper that, yes, we have an agreement, you're doing work, we're going to pay you.
Okay, so in past years, did agreements come before us in regards to CS?
I think it depends on what the project was and what the funding was. Like I said, this has been a long-standing that the 2 groups do separate work for specific projects that are kind of miscellaneous, not the big projects that come through with like liquid fuels funding and that kind of stuff. So it's just the basic consulting work that they do. So
was there a particular reason why the controller requested an agreement or contract?
They've been doing their due diligence this year and making sure that they have contracts on file for all other contractual services.
Okay.
So this is Public Works doing what they've been asked in order to make sure that it's all tied up.
Okay. Thank you. Any questions or comments from the public? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Okay, and this is for consent agenda item, and that would be 13, agenda items 13 through 20. And I will now call the vote. Buckingham,
Yes.
Rivera.
Yes.
Washington,
Yes.
Walker.
Yes. That is so ordered. There are no requests for future meetings. Council, any comment?
I just wanted to follow up on the comments from Attorney Thompson and from the Human Relations Commission, and just remind everyone that people are protected through our ordinance, through the Human Relations Commission, who live in York or who are discriminated against while they are in the city of York. So it's broader than I think many people understand. And not many cities have this, and we're very fortunate. I think this has been in place for a long time, and I think that we're fortunate to have had that foresight. That's all.
I have 2 comments. First, I just want to offer my thanks to my colleagues as well as the City of York Human Relations Commission for voting in favor and all the work to bring forth this monumental piece of legislation for our city. As Attorney Sandra Thompson mentioned, this is a nationwide piece of legislation that is extremely important and imperative, especially to people of color. So just thank you, thank you, thank you. We have done work tonight that will affect and be able to assist generations beyond here in the city of York. And there's so many cities who have not enacted this. And once again, we stand as a leading city. So thank you to everyone. And then my next comment, I just want to mention to our community that the Port Equipping Center will be holding a community baby shower on Saturday, May 21st at the Parkway Homes located at 140 Willis Lane. It is free and open to the community. The event will be 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. There will be free Pampers, free wipes, free baby detergent, baby toiletries, and just about anything to provide a need to the community. We have several community partners who have joined in with it, and so we're looking forward to having a full day of event, just pouring out and loving on our community. So thank you.
Vice President Washington, could you say the name of the event, the date and the time again for me?
Community baby shower by the Port Equipping Center.
What are you saying?
The Port, Port, P-O-R-T,
Okay.
Equipping Center.
Equipping Center.
And it's at Parkway Homes, 140 Willis Lane,
Okay.
from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m.
11 a.m. to 2 p.m. And that's on Saturday?
Yes,
Okay. The 21st?
yes, May 21st.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So this is indeed a historic day in York, and I am happy and proud to be a part of it. 2 years ago, I was not in favor of lifting the residency requirement because I saw and I felt that at the time that the city wasn't doing enough in terms of being diverse. And then I saw the struggles in the health department, and I've grown into the lifting of the residency requirement to me is going to make our community that much better and more progressive, I truly believe. However, there's accountability, like Madam President said, and we will hold the administration and any administration after accountable for the hiring of black and brown people that are qualified for these positions as well, right? And we have to do our homework, and we have to go out, and we have to find people that are qualified that look and speak like the community, right? So, and I urge the administration and those in the positions of power, especially in the health department, to ensure, and all departments, to ensure that happens. Which, by the way, I have a quick question. I'm going off. The health department is not its own department, right? It's under the Community and Economic Development?
Yes, Department of Economic and Community Development.
And why isn't it its own department?
That is a long-standing question, but it falls under community services.
Okay. Because I just think it's so big that it's probably...
Yeah.
So, I've seen it, and people might not like what I say, and oftentimes they don't. And so, but I speak from my heart. You see it in York County oftentimes, where positions that typically went to white males are being filled by white females. You're seeing it all over the community, and nonprofits and social services organizations, right? The CPC, York County Community Foundation, the YWCA, the Cultural Alliance, the list goes on and on. And so the community has to stay on top of that when people like Larry Richardson at the YMCA retires, and the hiring of Jean Truthheart at the YWCA's position, and others. We have to demand that we are at the table when they have a committee to hire the next leader of these organizations. And so, and while they're York County organizations, most of them are housed in York City. So we have to demand that we're on the hiring committees to ensure that black and brown folks and our people have an opportunity to lead these organizations. Because when we talk about diversity and inclusion, oftentimes we're not. Look at the executive committees of these organizations. Granted, York County is around 80% white and about 20% black and brown. I get it. However, we're always talking about diversity and inclusion, and these organizations are being led mostly by white females. They were the ones replacing white males to lead these organizations. And oftentimes, I call them the usual suspects. We're part of the usual suspects because we're part of the leadership in the community. So I say all that to say, let's do our job and ensure that the health department, the city, looks and speaks like the community we represent.
Thank you, Council. Administration comment?
Yeah, well, first, I just want to thank everybody that's been involved, particularly the employees and the family members of the employees of the City of York, for their support during this long effort to change the residency requirements here in the city. As I've always said, and as I just heard Councilman Rivera say, it is a good theory. It is a good effort. But when the jobs are not being filled, when people are being forced to be separated from their loved ones, when it causes so much additional stress on the existing employees, when we cannot fill those other roles, it is time to realize that we have to make a change in the system. And I thank all of the council members, not only for the support in changing these requirements, but this offer that I heard from Councilman Rivera to assist in bringing qualified candidates, because that's really what we need, and what organizations across the city and county need are the support of other folks to bring these candidates and encourage candidates to come in to apply for these positions. So the City of York has, I believe, over 20 positions listed right now, and as of as soon as Diana can get it typed up, however I need to sign it, it will be signed. So this is something that is changing at the speed of Diana. So as soon So as soon as she can get it to me, this will be signed. And so I would encourage everyone, whether a city resident or not a city resident, or a resident of nearby counties, of adjacent counties, contiguous counties, if we can take another look at yorkcity.org/employment, you will find that there are many jobs, whether it is finance or in the Bureau of Health. I'm very, very excited about the additional services that the people of the City of York are now going to receive because of this vote tonight. And I specifically want to thank the members of the Bureau of Health and of the Finance Department, because I know those are probably the two most stressed departments due to the previous residency requirements. So thank you, everybody, and thank you, Council, for anything you can do to help bring candidates to the City of York. And everyone should know, as we discussed at the committee meeting, that there is still a preferential treatment, a bonus point or multiple bonus points during the interviews for city residents. So city residents do still get that preference. So please continue. We want city workers here. We want walkable jobs. We want people to participate in the community where they live. That is our number one priority. But if we can't get that, now we have the ability to make sure that the government is running properly. So thank you, everybody, for your participation in that. I do have a couple other things. The King Street Bike Lane, we dedicated the new King Street Transit Center. Thank you for those that attended the dedication over there. So that has improved, although there are going to be additional improvements, particularly for pedestrians and for traffic control over there that you'll be seeing. But also you will be seeing the improvements with the King Street bike lanes. And so we've said it multiple times, but I'm going to say it one more time. We are not changing King Street to two-way. Those lights are for the benefit of those that are going westbound in the bike lanes. So if you see traffic lights that are facing towards the east, those are for folks going west that are utilizing those bike lanes. And I'm very excited because during that event we had discussions. I was able to talk with the Deputy Secretary for Transportation that oversees things like this, and we got to have some really good discussions about connecting the city, connecting the Broad Street Greenway with the rail trail, with a potential west trail that would go out along the Cadorus out to Bance Park, and just very exciting things happening, and then bringing a trail down from the Parkway trail that was put on Parkway Boulevard and trying to connect that into the rail trail too, so that people have a safe way without a vehicle to get around the city of York. So that's very exciting. Finally, I wanted to add folks with teenagers or teenagers that may be listening. We do have the York Legacy Builders Summer Youth Employment Program for York City youth, and that is being overseen by Tammy Bethay in our Department of Economic and Community Development, and you can contact us at 717-771-1100, and those are to get young people jobs across the city, and for the period of June 13th through July 28th. So you need to pick up some summer work, some experience. Please contact us again, 717-771-1100. And again, thank you for your work tonight, Council.
Are there income requirements for the families?
I believe there are.
Okay.
I don't have them in
Right.
front of me, but I believe so.
Maybe for our next week, for our committee meeting, if we could have that.
Okay.
To make sure that the community knows what the requirements are.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Great. Thank you.
And before you close out, Mayor Helfrich, do I have your permission to e-sign your name to the bills that were approved tonight?
Are we publicly? Wait a minute. Are we now publicly saying that you're signing stuff for me?
I'm not signing them. You're signing them. It's your signature.
I don't know. I don't.
It's your signature. It's your signature. Yep.
As a convenience to the clerk, when the clerk contacts me, I will give permission when appropriate to sign the bills. And the residency is so approved.
All right. So I look forward to some results and an update when it comes to that. Hearing nothing else, this adjourns our meeting for this evening. Have a good night, everyone.